So let's go. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you, everyone, in this jury for Leticia's presentation, defense, and I'd like also to thank you, Professor Israel and Professor José for supporting Leticia during her time in Valencia. It was very important for the growing of her work, her thesis. So some brief information about during this time. I'd like to give you some instructions on how to defense process works. First, Leticia will make her presentation, and then each professor will have up to 30 minutes to make their comments. The first member or members to comment is the one most external to PPGEGC. So Professor Israel starts, and after that, Professor Ana, Professor Alexandre, and then Professor Gertrudes and Professor Denilson. Okay? So some initial information. This is the defense number 21 for the year 2023. Defense number 399 in the total of graduates. The thesis was developed by Leticia Silveira Artese. The thesis titled, A Knowledge Discovery in Text Model for Weak Signal Detection for Emerging Technologies. The thesis was supervised by me, Professor Alexandre Gonçalves, and co-supervised by Professor José Leomar Todesco and Professor José Millet Roig. I guess that my pronunciation is okay. The doctoral jury is composed by me as advisor and moderator, Professor Israel Griol Bares from Polytechnic University of Valencia, Universitat Politécnica de Valencia. Professor Ana Estela Antunes da Silva, external examiner from State University of Campinas. Professor Alexandre Moraes Ramos, external examiner from Federal University of Santa Catarina. Professor Gertrudes Dandolini from Federal University of Santa Catarina, and also from our graduate program in Knowledge Engineering, Management and Media. And Professor Denilson Sell from Federal University of Santa Catarina, PPGEGC, graduate program in Knowledge Engineering, Management and Media, and also from State University of Santa Catarina. Leticia, you have up to 50 minutes to make your presentation, and after that, the members of the jury, you make their comments. So please carry on. And final remark, I ask everyone to turn off the microphones and cameras during Leticia's presentation. Leticia, please.
Thank you, Professor Alexandre, for the introduction. First, good morning, dear members of the jury, and good afternoon for those in Valencia. And thank you all for your time and your disposal to be here today. So I'll start the presentation. The thesis is entitled Knowledge Discovery on Text Model for Weak Signal Detection for Emerging Technologies. I'm Leticia, the PhD student under the Knowledge Engineering program. As already said, my advisor, Professor Alexandre, my co-advisor, Professor Chichi, my external co-advisor, Professor Pepe, that welcomed me very well, together with Professor Israel at UPV. And the line of the research is Theory and Practice in Knowledge Engineering. So today for the presentation, we have this agenda to follow. I will start with the context that lead us to the research problem, followed by the objective statement and methodology, and the results is composed by the theoretical conceptions, the proposed model, the model demonstration, and the evaluation of the model assessment, and we finish the presentation with the final considerations. So the motivation of the research is contextualized by the need to contemplate uncertainty in strategic management. Strategic planning, given the VUCA environment that we have today with the fast-paced development. So this brought the attention to the need for anticipation of information as a way to be ready to deal with the fast changes. This highlighted the concept of weak signals proposed by Ansoff that we understood as still vague fragments of information, but which bring important indications of potential future events. And in that sense, this piece of information acts like an important competitive resource, allowing to profit opportunities and or avoiding risks. So as anticipation of information, weak signals are part of foresight studies that complement the most traditional forecast approach. As we can see here in the image, forecast is based on the projection of past data. We start from information that we know, trying to guess a future tendency. And while foresight is based on information that we have today, including information, weak signal as information that doesn't have a history, that at the present moment there is little evidence of what they might become. And that's why it's an approach that's capable to embrace uncertainty. And as a way to handle those weak signals, the literature points out the need of computational techniques, given the need of automation of the process, considering the volume of data and the cognitive bias of specialists. So it's understood that the interest and importance of weak signals for strategic planning, but finding those weak signals is still a challenge because they are difficult to detect. They have no recognizable past, do not have a pattern. They are hiding the noise of everyday production of information. So they might pass unnoticed, especially for the more traditional approach. So the weak signal analysis can be understood in three main steps concerning the collection and identification of those signals, the sense-making process, and the action plan. Through the literature, we could notice that the first part, the collect and identify, was pointed out for the lack of quantitative approach to identify those weak signals, especially the lack of investigation on the semantic embedded in text, since most quantitative approaches are based on word frequency. Once we defined that our problem was weak signal detection, we narrowed our possibilities, since weak signal can refer to a different range of disciplines, such as political, economical, sociocultural, technological, legal, or environmental. We focus on the technological domain, which even has its own field of research that's known for FTA, Future-Oriented Technology Analysis. And it's a special domain of research, given its historical importance of the connection between technological advancement and economic development. But our choice considered especially the actual relevance due to the fast development, implying novelty, opportunities, risk, and uncertainty. So it's also important to point that although the interest in technological strategic planning expressed the desire for anticipation of information, the application of the concept of weak signals are still recent and still little. Here we have the print screen of two important reports and efforts in this way. The first one is the JCR technical reports that the European Union Joint Research Center, that was one of the first that explicitly used the term weak signal together with science and technology for sites. And the Korea Institute of Science and Technology, that in 2022, they updated their approach similar to what JCR proposed, mentioned the importance to deal with those kinds of information that doesn't have a history, that are information of today looking to the future. So considering those information, we get our research problem. To recap, on one hand, we have the weak signal renaissance due to the intensification of uncertainty in planning, intensified by the speed of development, and the importance of the computational aid. And on the other hand, we have this wish for anticipative information about technology, and the expressed desire to know as soon as possible. So we understand that when you're looking for anticipative information, we are looking about information of new technologies, which for us means searching for weak signals for emerging technologies. In that way, that result in our research question, that's how to detect weak signals for emerging technologies based on computational techniques to support strategic planning processes. From the research question, we unfolded in our goals. The main goal is to develop a model to detect weak signals for emerging technologies, considering knowledge discovery in text methods and techniques. And our specific goals are to identify factors and patterns involved in the detection of weak signals, identify potential techniques for detecting weak signals, theoretically establish weak signals for emerging technologies, and demonstrate the capability and feasibility as a prototype level of the model by performing experiments in study scenarios. To operationalize the research, the design science research methodology was chosen to guide the development of the model to guarantee its scientific availability. So the framework proposed by PEFARS have 6 steps. The first one is about finding the problem. To do so, we did a literature review based on weak signals and future-oriented studies for technology analysis. The second step is about setting the goals for the solution. And once again, we based on the literature to establish the goals for the proposed objective. The third step is about designing the proposed solution. So our model is centered on the key elements of knowledge discovery in text mining, BERT model as a large language model, network, and burst analysis. The step number 4 is the demonstration, where we use an example to conceptually test the model feasibility as a solution. To do so, we use graphene as a study scenario. The 5th step is the evaluation. We applied the theoretical justification for each step based on the literature that we can find described in the document, and the simulation with a hindsight study scenario to evaluate if the model would be able to suggest an emerging technology in advance. We present VoIP as the study scenario. And the last step, it's about communication of the research with this thesis document, later publications, and possibly a technological registry of the model. So the result as a solution idea, we started from the desire to know as soon as possible and understand it as if you want to know as soon as possible, we need to be searching for something new and at the lowest level of information abstraction. So from these, we get the idea to discover when a new word arises within relevance in the technological field. And this idea made sense once we think that there always exists the need to create a new technical scientific term, especially with the accelerated development. So the idea is centered in the discovery of a new work as a weak signal for emerging technology. But to support this idea, we needed to ground it theoretically. And that's why the next step in our results, we discuss two theoretical conceptions. First, looking at the word part, we assume that a word is the lowest level of information abstraction, together with pure semiotic theory, that every word is a signal, which means that have an object that reflects a concept. And we thought that if we were able to retrieve this new word associated context and we can estimate a potential impact, we would say that this new word is a weak signal. So we took Hugh Tunney's future sign proposal that is well known in the weak signal field as an inspiration and as a standard to support our proposition. Here in the image, we can see Hugh Tunney's proposition of weak signal as a future sign as a result of the triadic relation, proposing a new interpretative relation as the possible future event. And our proposition of weak signal as a new word points to a hidden context that reflect a potential future event. And this word also acts like a trigger for sense-making insights from specialists to suggest emerging issues. And as this hidden context unfolds, the weak signal would turn into a strong signal. And for the technological part, we thought that was important to establish the difference between the terms emerging technology and technology emergence, because we are trying to find an information. So to precisely dedicate to it, we need to define and differentiate them. So to clarify this body of knowledge, we introduced the Johari's window framework so that we can understand the weak signals for emerging technology as unknown knowns, meaning that we are looking for something that is hidden in data, and this is veiled, so we can discover. There is a way that we can discover this kind of information. And on the other hand, the technology emergency, it's like looking for the gap. We are looking for, you get an insight of what is missing from the research. So putting together these concepts of the triadic model of a word as a weak signal and the Johari's window to understand the difference between emerging technology and technology emergence, we can understand the idea of discovering a new word as a weak signal for an emergent technology. Beside those theoretical conceptions, we also had in mind these premises to develop the model. The ends of premise that every phenomenon passes through a sequence of levels of knowledge that can be captured in advance as it unfolds. As we can see here, the idea that the information goes from weak signal to strong signal, and we can capture it in advance. And we took into consideration the three main characteristics of a weak signal, that is a novelty information, a vague fragment, and has potential impact. And we consider the structure of the knowledge discovery text model and its suitability to find the new words as weak signals. So we translated this proposed idea of solution around three main mining tasks. The first one being the identification of those new words that we call the new signals, the temporal monitoring of the new words as a way to differentiate them from noise that we called latent signals, and the discovery of the weak signals that are marked with the estimate potential of technological impact. So the whole proposed model, taking in consideration that three main text mining tasks, is composed by 7 steps. The first step concerns the database collection and pre-processing. The second step regards the word embedding, that is to get the vectoral representation of the words. The third step is the discovery of the new words classified as new signals. The fourth step is the elaboration of the network that enable us to do the temporal analysis. The sixth step is the relevance estimation and the weak signal discovery, where we use the second source of information and match the information from this base with the information that we extracted before, so we can result in a weak signal suggestion. And the last step is the presentation of the discovery of the knowledge of the model, that is the weak signal suggestion. So following those methodology steps, we have the conceptual demonstration, where we used graphene as an emergent technology for a scenario. We collected his historical information and volume of publications so that we could follow along each step of the model and evaluate if it was making sense. So here in this scheme, we can see that we would have the first occurrence of the word graphene in a publication in 1985. So the first part of the model would retrieve this information, pre-process it, and obtain the embedding of the words, so that the new word would be identified and considered a new signal, followed by the elaboration of the word network and temporal monitoring. That we suggest the use of the burst analysis to detect the burst behavior around the new word, which means that we are looking for a increase in the identification on the words connections that occur the more fastest in a short period of time. So if this happens, the new word is classified as a latent signal. And at last, the appearance of the word in a patent application abstract and the match of this appearance with the latent signal list give us the weak signal for the emerging technology. So theoretically, the model would suggest graphene as a weak signal for emerging technology almost a decade before the exponential growth in the research field after the 2010 Nobel Prize that we can see here in the graph, that after 2010, the volume of publications increased exponentially. So in this conceptual stage, the model was showing promises as a solution to anticipate information. And the next step is one of the most important parts of the methodology concerning the evaluation of the model. And as we said before, we did the theoretical justification that is detailed in the document together when we presented the model. And here I'm going to present the operationalization via a simulation in hindsight case of the VoIP being the emerging technology study scenario. So VoIP is an acronym for Voice over Internet Protocol. And here we have some important dates that guide our example. In 1974, the first one-way voice sample from ARPANET, that's the company, they also was the ones that created the internet. In 95, we have the first patent associated with VoIP, although it doesn't use the acronym in its abstract. In 2001, the first patent with VoIP in the abstract the patent application is from Yahoo. And 2003, the first leap of VoIP, leap of interest in VoIP is given by the use of Skype, where the calls grew to 25% in the US. And 2010, Apple introduced the iCall, and in 2015 to nowadays, when WhatsApp began to offer the voice calls, and then suddenly it's a technology that's part of everyone's daily life. So as the first step of the model to elaborate the data set, we are interested in collect, document, and information extraction. And for us, this is collect abstracts from Science and Technology Conference, since we're interested in the kind of information that is the more new, the newly kind of information. That's why we use conferences. The pre-processing is adjusting the corpus, especially to the embedding technique that is going to be used. So since we are using BERT, for us is the standardization to lowercase, the elimination of digits that for us doesn't bring an important information, and adjusting to some BERT specific presets. And this step also concerns the organization and the provide of the corpus for the model. Not that it's part of this step, but I put this information here so I didn't forget to mention that we use the Google App Cloud environment to develop the Python notebooks and for the use of GPU processing for this model, this operationalization of this model. So step 2 is the word embedding, the vector representation of the words. Since we are dealing with the text to find new words, we needed an embed technique that was able to deal with out of vocabulary words and rare words. So that's why we chose BERT that stands for bidirectional encoder representation from transformers. And we use the feature extraction approach of the model. So here I put a didactic example of how the model would be able to learn and understand a new word. Here we have the word tesguino that is not in the vocabulary, so the model would see it as mark it as an unknown. It wouldn't understand what the word means. But since the words begin to appear in more and more sentences, like here we have a bottle of tesguino is on the table. Everyone likes tesguino. Tesguino makes you drunk. We make tesguino out of corn. So once the word begins to appear in more and more sentences, like us, we can guess that it's about an alcoholic beverage. The model would be able to learn and to represent this word in a vector in a correctly way. So the next step 3, is about finding these new words. And it's important to mention that as it is today, it's still not a trivial task for large language models. When you want to find and understand and obtain the embedding for these words that are not part of the vocabulary of the model. So most approaches discuss a way around this problem instead of really trying to learn and obtain these embeddings. But for us, it's important to understand the word as a single token because we are interested in do the temporal analysis. So we developed a way to deal with this using two different tokenizers. We use BERT and SPACY, where SPACY acts like a filter for the unknown words that BERT break into subwords. So here we can see that the word VoIP, when we use BERT, it breaks it in two subwords that are marked with the double hashtag. And the SPACY doesn't recognize the word, so we mark as an unknown word. So from the intersection of the words marked as unknown in SPACY and the words that are break into subwords in BERT, we can find those new words and add them to the BERT's vocabulary and use BERT as a feature extraction to get the new word embedding. When I say that we are using the BERT model as a feature extraction, I'm saying that we are using BERT model in its standard tasks that are masked language model and next sentence prediction. So as output of this step, we would classify and store this new word as a weak signal. Step 4 is about the elaboration of the word network. So embeddings are vector representations, so they are already in a vectoral dimension space. We just need to determine how related they are. So to do this, we elaborate a network where the embeddings are the nodes and the connections are the intensity of the relation that we obtain calculating the cosine similarity between the vectors. This means that for every vector that are close, they have a small cosine similarity. When we do the embedding of a word, words that represent a similar context are put together. So when we calculate a threshold from this cosine similarity, we can establish a network where we only have the significant relationships of these words that are put together. So here, for example, we have the graph for the year 2002 from the word VoIP. Those are 1,000 and sorry, I have to concentrate to say the number. 1,372 nodes, 3,580 edges, 86 edges. Remember that due to processing limitations, we restricted the network just enough to explore the parallelization. So although it seems like a big network, it's just a small representation of a real case network would be. So an interesting and important finding for the research after calculating those similarities was to observe how the model was able to really capture this new word meaning and context, and even stabilize its embedding. So here in the graph, we can see that after some time, the embedding kind of stabilized around the context of the word, as the occurrence of the word VoIP increased through time. So this was really interesting to see that we were able to obtain a significant embedding for the new word. So step number 5 is the temporal analysis. So latent signals are signals that precede a weak signal. The goal here is to distinguish the promising new words from noise. So we are looking for the fastest interest increase in the word's context. This for us is to detect a burst behavior in the subgraph around the new word. So we based this step in the idea of the algorithm proposed by Xu et al. That is a top cat density burst subgraph finding. So that when there is this rapid growth in the intensification of the relationship within a word in a subgraph that contains this new signal, it makes it a candidate for a weak signal, so we name it a latent signal. Here we have the subgraph that we obtained from the word VoIP. It's important to mention that ideally the subgraph is obtained more organically in the network and not start from the new word. But as we said here, we are just making an operational example, just enough to operationalize the model and show the capability of the model to capture this kind of behavior. So step number 6 is the identification of the weak signals. And although it seems the most important step, is the least complicated one, in a way that we estimate the strategic relevance, the potential impact of the word, using the second source of information for us is the patent applications, where we extract this abstract, elaborate a list of the technological words that appear in the patent abstract, and match with the list of latent signals. And if there is a match, we say that this word is a weak signal suggestion. So here we would have the Yahoo patent, and the word VoIP would appear, and the word VoIP was detected in a bursting subgraph. So when these two things happens, we suggest the word VoIP as a weak signal. The last step, present the suggestions of weak signals. So as we said before, besides discovering the new word, we need to ensure the weak signal characteristics, and we need to retrieve the context to which the words refer. So here we can see the context expressed by the strongest connections with VoIP, and we can see that give us the insight about the emerging technology of communication via internet, where we can see the words telecommunications, network, IP, multimedia, wireless, infrastructure, protocols, telecom. So from this word detected, it acts like a guide to this hidden technology context. So to conclude the study scenario, the new word identified as a weak signal acts like a guide to investigate this possible future event that the weak signal anticipates. So here we can see the semiotic triad, where the new word VoIP is the weak signal that derives from this hidden context that embrace the future phenomenon, the possible future phenomenon. And this word also can act as an insight to positive or negative emergent issues as the sense-making process from specialists. And as this hiding context becomes more known, the weak signal turns into a strong signal. So in our case analysis, the word VoIP would be suggested as a weak signal at least a decade before VoIP really began to show potential importance, taking the I call as a milestone for comparison. So we would be able to point that internet telephony would be an interesting technological context to pay more attention before it began to make part of our daily life. And this information would be crucial for in companies' investments in research and development, and a way to position, put themselves in the market, or even to offer new services and so on. So as final considerations, we see ourselves satisfied with the operational performance, even that we had to restringe it a little bit, and with the suitability of the model as a solution in view to the theoretical conceptions that we developed based on the literature. So it's considered that the object was successfully achieved. The proposed model is capable to assist in strategic planning under uncertainty caused by accelerated development, embracing the desire to anticipate information. We were able to contemplate the challenge that the literature points out as the volume of data, the specialist cognitive bias, the anticipation of information as soon as possible. We explored the semantic embedded in texts, and we use more than one source of information and consider temporality and dynamicity in the model. So with this, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Leticia, for your presentation. So let's start with the comments and considerations by the jury. First of all, please, Professor Israel, let me ask you for your comments and considerations.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
First of all, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to know how to proceed. It's going to be all my comments and questions all in one time, or
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going
yes.
to be doing all the questions, question by question is what I mean.
What do you prefer? It can be question by question.
Okay, and I have a limit of less than 10 minutes, yeah?
Yes, 30
Okay,
minutes.
thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, well, so first of all, Leticia, I would really like to congratulate you for this work. Yeah, for me, it was a pleasure to host you, to have you in Valencia this a couple of months ago. It was for me amazing to find a person who was speaking the same language as I do. Yeah, and so first of all, congratulations for all this work. And you know, the only thing that I can tell you is that please go on, continue with this, because there's a lot of things that I think that it needs to be researched, and you are in the right track, and the results that you have achieved with this work are really are great. You know, it's the only thing that I can tell you. Yeah. First of all, I would like also to highlight that you have used several concepts from other fields in this field, you know, in weak signals. Yeah, for example, to use the Johari window, that is something that is more related to psychology. Yeah, but now you are using this for weak signals. That's amazing. That was a great idea. Yeah, and that also shows that you have an open mind, and that's also important. Yeah, or even using Pestel to know that is a socioeconomic concept in weak signals. That's also a great idea. Yeah, defining a new framework, also inventing new concepts as well, because what I will say is that new, latent, and weak, yeah, are also concepts that you have invented, because this is a field that is still under development. Yeah, and we need to define new concepts in order to achieve it. Yeah, so again, congratulations for that as well. Yeah. And these are my questions, yeah, or my comments. Yeah, first of all, you are only detecting new words. Yeah, what happens, for example, when it's a new meaning of an existing word, or for example, multi-word expressions. For example, I see that in BERT, boy IP was considered two meanings of two words. Yeah, but what happens, for example, when it's a new meaning for an existing word, or a word that is not only a word, it's two words together. Yeah, for example, if you want, you can answer this question, and I will ask you more questions after that.
Okay, so when we had the idea of finding new words as new signals, we thought about new words as really new words like neologisms, but we also thought about new words as what we call semantic shifting. That's when you have like a word like cookie that belongs to a culinary context, for example, and these words begin to appear with internet associated context. So the idea is that in that stage of the model, we would embrace also the semantic shift kind of new word detection as also. But since we have a limited time to develop the thesis, we just followed the new word as neologism track. So we believe that when we applied this other concept of semantic shift, we would be able to find this kind of composed words also.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, or it could be also like a future research, you know, the future line. Yeah. Another thing that I would like to ask you as well, for example, yeah, well, the burst behavior that you are trying to detect, yeah, also it could be related to several topics, yeah, or several fields, yeah. How can you make sure that the burst behavior that you are using to detect this latent signal is related to the topic that you are researching?
So as I was saying, for the illustration of the model, we started the burst analysis from the subgraph, from the word of interest. But in a real case, we would have this word network, and the burst analysis would detect several bursting subgraphs. That's why it's called top K, like in K-means. We have like several cores of subgraphs, and we would have a step to verify if within these bursting subgraphs the new word belongs to it. So for sure there would be some bursting subgraph that doesn't embrace a new word, but for sure one of those bursting subgraphs would embrace the new word, because as we saw in the example of VoIP, when the word begins to appear in more sentences, there is an increase in the connection around this word. So theoretically, it's almost certain that they're going to be found out.
It makes sense as well. I would like also to know if you have studied also future scenarios, yeah? Not only VoIP or graphene, yeah? If you have used also your system to find a new word that maybe now is a latent signal, yeah, that could become a weak signal in the future, or you have still not performed this kind of experiment?
No, we didn't perform this kind of experiment because, like I said, it's to build this for a real case scenario, we would need to a lot of processing power. And that we didn't have using the Google Colab, because we are talking about like 1 million nodes in a network, and those kind of algorithm of bursting subgraphs, they are really hard to implement because they took a lot of computational power, because we don't know the size of those bursting subgraphs. We don't know how much of them exists. So for the model to do all those calculations, it requires a lot of processing power.
That's connected to my two last questions. The one of them is, what about hardware software requirements? Yeah. So for example, in all these steps, what would you think that is the states or the step that it would require a more complex hardware or more complex software?
I believe that is this part of the bursting subgraph detection is the one that demanded the most computational power.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And my last comment or my last question would be connected to the last step. I think that it is really it was really interesting that you were using patents, yeah, as a source to find or to confirm that there is an economical or invention, yeah, or at least application connected to that latent signal that you have detected, yeah. But for example, there are many new internet technology softwares, for example, that can't be patented, or for example, brands. For example, the example that you use, it's a brand that maybe it's not a patent, but it's in a database of brands, yeah. So maybe in the future, or maybe for the past, patents could be more relevant than in the future. That it seems that, for example, many technologies that are not connected to hardware are not using patents in order to protect them. They are using other kind of things that they can use. Yeah? And also, for example, that right now there are many new things that are not gonna last 20 years. Yeah. So as they know that they are going to be obsolete in less than 20 years, they don't do a patent. Yeah. So maybe in the future you will need to use like a different database, or to complement that database of patents with others, as for example brands, software, other stuff, yeah, or the database. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, when I was thinking and elaborating the model, I was thinking to build something that would be more generic and that would embrace other fields of knowledge as well. So the main idea that it's important is the proposal of using two different source of information. So for us, it was conferences and patents, but it could be conferences and technological blogs, for example, or technological news that would be patents and social media. We could explore and test and use different
or even brand databases.
Databases. Yes,
WIPO, you can find all the brands that have been. So yeah, something like that. Yeah. So thank you so much, for all the answers that you gave me, for all your comments, and again, congratulations for this extremely great work. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Professor Israel, for your comments and considerations. I will take each one in the final version of the thesis. So now, please, Professor Ana, let me ask you for your comments and considerations. Feel free to express in Portuguese if you prefer.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Leticia. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here with you again. It's such a good work. And let me ask you, I understand that you spent some time in Spain, is that right?
Yes. I don't know if you recall that I even sent you an email asking if you have some suggestion of places that I could do an international internship.
That's right.
And that's when I sent an email to Israel because he has 3 very interesting papers in weak signals and technologies. And then he replied to me, and he was really happy that we could, like he said, be with someone that speak the same language, that understand those concepts. Because as you know as well, it's not everybody that knows what are weak signals and have this knowledge, so we can discuss.
And how long did you stay in Spain?
3 months.
Oh, that's wonderful. Great. Congratulations to you and Professor Israel. And well, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your thesis and your work, and also Alexandre for the supervising. It's really a very well done work, very well written. And I will start with your presentation. I will try to speak everything in English, and if I have some trouble, I will switch to Portuguese. And okay, then I just ask you, Leticia, some questions just to better understand your work. Perhaps I will talk about what Israel already talked, but it's just to clarify some things. As I said, it's a very well written and explained work. You used a lot of techniques, and it was possible to understand everything that you used in your thesis and the purpose of using it. So it's just to clarify some things, okay?
Okay.
We start with your presentation. I try to follow the slides and the parts of the presentation. I will start with slide 9. If you please return to, is the objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll try to mark my time. I will have 30 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. It's 10, so it's about 10:25. Okay. All right. Leticia, the specific goals I felt when I was reading your work, and also here in the presentation, I felt that perhaps you could specify a little bit the specific goals, so we could understand in the beginning of your work, what was the purpose? Okay, I felt that they were a little bit general. I see that you cannot put all the techniques here, but perhaps to point out some of them is just a suggestion, okay? Slide 10 is the, yeah. This figure was very good. I'm not sure if this figure is in the written work, in the thesis.
No.
No, it would be very nice to have this figure in the written part, because it's so enlightening. It's very good. And I would ask you, what's the main difference between the part 4 demonstration and part 5 evaluation? Because I had some trouble to make this difference when I was reading your text, because I know it's written here, it's the conceptual instantiation, and the part section 5 is the evaluation. Okay, but the two of them, they look like a little bit the same. One of them use graphene, is that right? And the other one voice over IP. And okay, well, what's the main difference?
Yeah, so the demonstration, it's more like just exemplification, theoretical exemplification, and the evaluation would be more a real case scenario. But since we have this computational restraint, they, in our work, they really seems like they are really close, because we couldn't really apply like if the model was a product. We weren't able to apply the model like it would run from end to end in a real case scenario. This would be the perfect evaluation step. This would be the main difference. And also the evaluation is composed by the theoretical justification of each one of the steps. And this is the two evaluation methods that we chose to use, because we could use other evaluation methods as well.
Can we talk a little bit about the methods? The evaluation.
In the thesis, we have a table number. In the methodology, the chapter, we have a table where we mention the
which is the page?
I'm searching.
Okay.
Quadro 10, page 97.
Okay.
So here we can see different methods and techniques for evaluation. And we used the theoretical and the simulation. That we can see, the theoretical would be like the descritivo, that argumento informado, and the scenario, the simulation.
Okay, I'm almost there. Okay. Okay. I'm just asking that, Leticia, in order to know if you have already submitted a paper to a journal or a conference.
We have a paper in the context, the international conference of technology management. I don't know the
That's okay.
Yeah,
but it was already published.
Yeah, we published that part of the embedding, how to obtain the embedding of a new word. We published that result in this conference.
Great, good. And so I was asking the difference between 4 and 5, chapter 4 and 5, exactly to ask you, because what I see is that you've got a lot of work, and it would be very nice to have this work published in a journal. And it seems that they are going to ask you what was the evaluation, and I think you could use perhaps quadro 10, as you said. I think it's table 10, and you can use this to publish as a method of evaluation of your work, which is very important. And another question is, which example would you use, the graphene or voice over IP to publish?
I don't know. I think that to publish, maybe would be interested to turn the graphene conceptual example into an operational one, because we didn't do that. We just maintained the graphene as a conceptual demonstration, and we applied the Python algorithms and use it with the VoIP database. Maybe run these two to see which one better illustrate the model. We also had another ideas to explore as blockchain, for example, some other technologies that we could use to see how they behave.
Okay. And I think it would be good to do that. And another question is, you just run two areas like graphene and voice over IP, is that right?
Yes.
That was the two examples that you used to check your framework.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have statistics?
No, I don't have statistics of how the model would behave in different study scenarios. Okay.
Do you think that would be a problem to publish?
I think that an interesting publication, as Professor Pepe even suggested, was to get another paper that mentioned some technology, weak signal technology, and use these results and our model and compare results. Like if we find some paper that mentions graphene as a weak signal in their methodology, then we would run our in graphene and show that, oh, our model can find graphene 5 years in advance than your model, for example. That this would be an interesting paper, for example, to publish.
Yes, it would be. I agree. And also, if I may give you a suggestion, there is a journal called Futures. I think I already talked to you about it. This journal is a very good one to publish concepts as you are developing here. Because I understand it's quite difficult to have statistics and to run a lot of models when you have this area of weak signals. And we don't. It's not like data mining when you have lots and lots of samples that you can run.
Mhm.
Okay, it's the name is Futures. It's a quite a good one, and I think it will be very suited to your work. Okay, slide 17. 17. Problem. Yes, sure. Okay. I will talk about test the tuning concept of weak signal to the new word, to your new word concept of weak signal.
So I use the Hugh Tuning's proposal of future sign inspiration and as a standard to compare my proposition, but Hugh Tuning's proposition would be more related as an interpretative kind of weak signal,
Yes.
while my approach is more kind of weak signal.
Yes.
While my approach is more what they call an Ansophian view of weak signal, where either a weak signal. In the other hand, for Hugh Tuning, the weak signal, it appears once you can ask a possible future.
Okay. The suggestion and seek new areas. As I understand your work, I'm not sure if I am right.
No, yeah, you're right.
Okay. To your information, Leticia.
Different database, but for our example, we used only Scopus.
Okay. It would be a good idea to have more possibilities. What do you think?
For doing this, at the time, I researched IEEE Web Science of Cielo, probably. No, Cielo, no. I don't remember the other one. And Scopus was the more complete.
Say more it would be and 30. Here, Leticia, I'm not sure if I understood, but when you were explaining, and it was a very good step, a very good figure that he used to explain all the steps. It was very clear. And you were talking about how it would be more important to identify organically a new word instead of using a known word. Does it make sense to you?
I don't think I understood your doubt.
Perhaps is the next one. Go to the third one, please. Estimate relevance for the technical domain. No, it was the third one. I will try to explain again, okay?
Maybe this one.
Oh, yes. It was 20. Thank you. Yes. Then you said it would be more important to identify organic a new word. And I was a little bit confused when you said that, because I don't see how you can identify organically. When you say organically, you say to look at a network and to see, for example, the frequency of a work and the surroundings. Is that what you were trying to say, or?
No, as I was explaining, Professor Israel, what I was trying to say here is that in ideal simulation, we would have the network of words, and we would apply this kind of algorithm to top-K density burst subgraph, and they would find different bursting subgraphs.
Okay.
That we would verify if within one of those bursting subgraphs, the new word would be present. But for our example, we didn't did this way. We build the subgraph starting from the word of interest. That's why I mentioned find it organically or not, because for our example, we didn't run the algorithm so that it would alone find the subgraph. We induced the subgraph from the word of interest.
Oh, I see. And do you intend to do it, to run and...
I would love to, but like I said, this kind of algorithm demands too much power processing, and we were not able to run it. We tried different ways to run, but we couldn't find a way to make it work. That's why we, for the goal of exemplification of the thesis, we build the subgraph starting from the word of interest, because it's to have computing to find it.
I see, but when you see it was not possible. You're saying you're talking about machine limitation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but it would be possible if you have some kind of service or whatever.
Yes, because in the paper they have the algorithm. We would just need to run it with our database and to find the subgraphs.
Okay, that would be good to see the results. Okay, I understand now. And the last question, Leticia, is about the transformation of the latent word to a weak signal. And you did that using the INPI basis, is that right?
Here, when we find the weak signal from the latent signal,
yes,
we collected patent application abstracts. Then we remove stop words and common words and make a list of technological terms. And then we would match it with our latent signal list. And if there is a match, we would say that it's a weak signal suggestion.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. Israel already talked about that, but perhaps you could use another kind of another way of checking if this latent words are running in the net. For example, searching in articles based, scientific based, I don't know, I'm not sure, but perhaps as a future work, perhaps you could do that. Because when you have a work as a patent, I think is in English, it's been some time already. Then perhaps you could use some other data to that. Perhaps Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, no.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to clarify that we didn't use the patent, but we used the patent application.
Okay.
So we couldn't suffer from this time gap between the application and the concession of the patent. Because for us, it doesn't matter if the patent was conceived or not. We are just interested in to capture the first appearance of the word in a technological domain, to say.
Okay. Yeah, it's better than waiting for a patent, but I don't know. It's just an idea. Perhaps if you could, because I'm not sure how many documents, for example, when you use a word, when you're searching in INPE database, how many documents do you think you could find with that word as a patent?
I don't remember the total number, but 2001 was the first year that VoIP appeared in the abstract, and there was 2 patents. Patent application, because the patent application is from 2001, and they were conceived in 2005, something like that.
Okay.
So we are looking for the patent application. But yes, would be interesting to complement it maybe with technological reports or technological blogs, something like that. So we can gather more actual information.
Yes. I think it would be a good idea. Well, Leticia, I would have more questions for you, and I would love to keep talking to you about this subject, because it's something that I also like very much.
Yes.
And I would like to finish my talk by congratulating you again for your excellent work and the work of your supervisor. And I already made some annotations in your thesis, and I can send to you if you wish to see my comments. Okay, and thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Anna. For sure, maybe we can get together for a coffee at Unicamp.
Oh, it would be lovely.
Thank you, Professor Anna, for your comments and considerations. We'll take them into account in the final version of the work, for sure. Carry on. Let's start with Professor Alexandre considerations. Please, Professor, let me ask for your comments and considerations.
Just a minute, Professor Alexandre, excuse me. I saw that Professor Pepe Millet is in the... It's here in the chat. Can you hear us, Pepe?
Can you hear me?
Oh, hi, Pepe. Yes. Thank you very much to have you here. What an honor.
I connected just 2 minutes after 5 minutes after 2 here in Spain, and I follow all the presentation. So also I have here some comments that I hope I can say something at the end. I tried to connect my camera, but I think I couldn't.
Okay.
I don't know if I have to do something.
There's no problem, Professor.
I don't know if we can aid you with some technical support for the camera, but like Professor Alexandre said, there's no problem. The important is that having you here, it's an honor. Thank you very much. I just saw now that you joined the chat.
No, it was from the beginning. So, but you started o'clock or 2, no? Because I arrived 2 or 3 minutes later. But as I told you before, I follow all the presentation.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Let's go on, and after that, Professor Pep can make your considerations. So, Professor Alexandre, feel free to talk in Portuguese if you consider that is better.
Ok.
Microphone, Professor Alexandre.
Good morning,
Good
Professor
morning.
Alexandre and Leticia. Thank you for the invitation to participate in this doctoral board. I'd like to greet everyone. I ask permission to speak in Portuguese, but my analysis takes place from another angle, another point of view. I will consider about strategic planning, patents base, and technology readiness level. Okay? So I will speak in Português. Letícia, primeiro, professor Alexandre e demais colegas, muito obrigado por estar aqui. Prazer poder estar participando dessa banca. Letícia, eu sou o outro lado do negócio. Eu estou na ponta. Eu acho que a riqueza de uma banca está justamente na configuração dos diferentes pontos de vista do trabalho. E aí, mais uma vez, tanto você quanto teus orientadores e co-orientadores, professor Tite e os demais co-orientadores, foram muito felizes na composição da banca. E eu estou do outro lado, eu sou o sponsor, eu sou o cara que quero contratar o teu trabalho, quero contratar esses algoritmos, quero botá-los na prática para funcionar, ok? Então, vou analisar primeiro o teu trabalho escrito. Eu acho que você escreve muito bem, você fez um texto muito bacana. Foi gostoso de ler, ele fluiu. Então, esse é um mérito muito grande de um tema tão complexo e você conseguir traduzir isso de uma maneira tão leve. Mesmo eu que faz tempo que não lidava com algoritmo, tive que parar em alguns lugares, voltar, mas foi muito fluido. Não pelo seu texto, mas pelo tempo que eu estava parado longe da área. Então, isso é bacana. Eu acho que cabe em um livro, com certeza, e é muito importante que esse livro chegue ao mercado, porque tomadores de decisão que estão querendo descobrir sinais fracos, eles precisam entender melhor a tecnologia para que se sintam mais confortáveis para contratar. Não sei se ficou claro isso para você. Você fala sobre temas muito complexos, e aí, se eu posso te ajudar do ponto de vista de texto, parágrafos muito longos, e o raciocínio, e é um parágrafo que exige raciocínio. Então, quebrar em parágrafos menores é fundamental para que torne a linguagem mais fluida e que você alcance, junto com os coautores, um público que é tomador de decisão, que é importante. Senão fica muito difícil de um gestor que não tenha tanta intimidade com a área se apropriar disso. Então, esse é o primeiro ponto. Eu depois vou te entregar o texto para o teu orientador, você fique à vontade para qualquer momento me questionar.
Perfeito.
Tem alguns detalhezinhos que eu preciso corrigir com você, me coloco à disposição. Você pode me chamar, que eu vou te passar detalhes que eu passei no texto, principalmente sobre escrita, que eu acho que ainda tem, que eu posso te ajudar nisso, tá bom? E aí são detalhes, questões de escrita. Vamos agora para o conceito. Você fala muito de planejamento estratégico, né? Em alguns momentos você fala de planejamento estratégico tecnológico e outra hora só de planejamento estratégico. É bom uniformizar isso. E aí eu, dentro de uma instituição de negócio, e que sou consumidor desse tipo de tecnologia, digo assim, que a tecnologia, os algoritmos que você desenvolve, o modelo que você desenvolve, ele está muito associado com um negócio chamado TRL, que a NASA usa, de maturidade tecnológica. Eu acho que se você trouxer... Eu não participei da tua qualificação, mas isso não quer dizer que, no avanço da tua pesquisa, ou mesmo na hora de publicar um livro, ou até considerar em algum momento do teu texto a questão de TRL. Porque o sinal fraco que você está procurando, ele está nos TRLs mais baixos. TRL 1, 2, 3 e 4. Quando entra o nível de patente, ele já está no TRL 4, 3. Ou seja, a partir do 5, a patente já está registrada. E aí, a partir do TRL 5, eu já estou buscando uma empresa, uma indústria, para fazer a transferência tecnológica. Dificilmente, onde surgem os sinais fracos, estão dentro, no Brasil principalmente, estão dentro de ambientes universitários. Né? Vamos considerar Brasil, se a gente estivesse falando em Brasil. Estão em ambientes universitários de federais públicas. Realmente são os papers que estão sinalizando sinais fracos. Então, 1, 2, 3 e 4 de TRL. Quando registra a base de patente, que vai fazer a transferência tecnológica, a gente já está num TRL de 4 para 5 e subindo. E a partir daí, já não tem mais muita publicação. Então, o sinal fraco mesmo teu está nessa faixa. Quando a gente está desenvolvendo uma pesquisa, que é uma outra fonte de sinal importante, que tem empresas e indústrias patrocinando e que os concorrentes ficam monitorando, o mercado de concorrência tecnológica ele é muito competitivo. Tem uma indústria aqui no estado de Santa Catarina que tem mais de 12 doutores contratados que só ficam varrendo bases tecnológicas para buscar esse sinal fraco que você nem mencionar. Então, você, do ponto de vista econômico, e você não traça isso dentro da nenhuma consideração, acho que vale muito a pena falar sobre isso em algum momento, mesmo que seja 2 parágrafos, um parágrafo, porque o seu trabalho, ele conecta com várias frentes. Então, Campinas, onde a professora Ana, que é uma base extremamente competitiva da indústria, tanto quanto a indústria catarinense, que fazem uso de lei do bem, que fazem lei do uso de informática, que são onde realmente estão as pesquisas de relevância tecnológica, junto com as universidades federais. Então, a Universidade Federal é isso, do 1 ao 4, TRL baixo e associado a papers, eventos científicos. Quando a gente faz essa pesquisa combinada, universidade e empresa, não ainda falando de Brasil, já não tem esse sinal já não começa a aparecer. E mesmo depois que a gente faz a transferência tecnológica, ele já some. E aí a patente vai ficar em 12 a 12 meses de graça nos Estados Unidos e 18 no Brasil. Então, se você pegar o teu gráfico da página, eu anotei aqui só um pouquinho. Se você pegar o teu gráfico da página 166, que você fala do VoIP, você fala do surgimento dele em 1998, o primeiro sinal fraco dele. E você vê que em 2002 ele já assume uma relevância, uma intensidade de sinal, não é isso? Acho que são 4 anos, porque, eu estou longe da página aqui, deixa eu ver. Você chegou lá na página 141? Deixa eu estou interpretando o teu gráfico certo, né? Porque uma coisa é que a gente lê, outra coisa é o que você quer dizer. Na página 141, se não me engano, né?
O gráfico de publicações está na página...
Deixa eu achar aqui que eu anotei só um pouquinho.
152.
Eu estou na figura 41 que eu queria falar. Página 166, não? 152. Deixa eu ver. Esse dá 166, o gráfico 41. Olha lá, você apresenta o sinal dele na tua linha lá, 98. E depois, no ano 2000, ele já tem uma intensidade maior, né? É isso mesmo que você está falando?
Esse gráfico aqui é a convergência dos embeddings, né, da palavra. É a convergência. O VoIP está lá em cima, estabilizado no 1. E aqui são as similaridades de cosseno da palavra. Isso, a partir de 2000, em 2000 ele realmente vai para o contexto dele.
É uma intensidade, né? Então, você vê que o lapso temporal ele tem a ver com as novas tecnologias que vão surgindo, elas são muito curtas, muitas vezes, né? E o período de graça das patentes interfere fortemente no surgimento desse sinal, né? Então, acho que isso vale também alguma consideração, principalmente nas conclusões tuas, tu falar um pouco disso, porque a palavra ela vai surgindo, ela vai maturando, o sinal vai ficando forte, e quando eu entro na base de patentes, ela já tem um período de graça, que ninguém vai ter acesso a essa palavra, né? Então, esse é um ponto importante. E quando o TRL começa a ficar mais forte, que a indústria compra, licencia ou tem a cessão daquela patente, ela já some do mercado com aquela informação, né? Então, realmente, o TRL baixo vai estar nos artigos, e depois que ela vira patente, ela fica num período de graça, e ali a empresa, a indústria está explorando, e ela pode abandonar, pode não abandonar, e dali a gente vai ver, e ela vai voltar com uma intensidade maior, mais próxima do mercado, provavelmente, quando a gente tem indústria participando ou que fez transferência tecnológica. Até aqui tudo bem? Estamos falando a mesma coisa?
Sim, acho que a única consideração talvez que eu pudesse fazer em relação a esse gráfico é que esse gráfico a gente obteu só com aquele volume de dados da Scopus, né? Que está na tabela aqui, inclusive na apresentação que eu mostro aqui a taxa de crescimento das ocorrências da palavra dentro do conjunto de dados, né? Então a gente passa de 7 vezes que a palavra apareceu em 98, né, para em 2000 ela aparecer 79 vezes. Mas isso é só dentro dos artigos que a gente pegou na Scopus. Então, exatamente, se eu pegasse, como a professora Estela também mencionou, né, de pegar mais informações, incluir outras conferências, mais bases, talvez essa convergência ela acontecesse antes até, né? Que aí ia ter um volume
talvez. Mas ela demonstra um comportamento de tecnologia.
Sim, claro, né? Claro.
E essa relação...
Vai aparecendo, né?
Exato. E essa relação com o período de graça, acho que vale a pena fazer uma consideração, talvez. Porque quando você fala da patente, a consideração tua está só na conclusão. Eu acho que você deveria trazer isso mais para o texto, sabe?
Tá.
Porque lá na conclusão, você faz uma análise, e aí você faz uma consideração sobre a patente. O lapso temporal, você fala na página 182. Eu acho que esse lapso temporal você poderia trazer para os seus resultados também. Tá? Porque esse é um comportamento da indústria de competitividade tecnológica, né? O teu trabalho substitui aqueles 12 doutores, se não os 12, vai ficar 1 ou 2 lá usando as tuas ferramentas para ficar analisando as interpretações. E hoje tem 12 doutores lá contratados só para fazer isso. Buscar patente, buscar artigo e evento, correr redes sociais, que é isso que você está automatizando a partir desse algoritmo e com muito mais alcance, né? Quando a gente tem uma pesquisa só com indústria, dificilmente vai ter esse sinal fraco. Porque ela não vai publicar e depois vira segredo industrial, sabe? E mesmo que seja com uma universidade, muitas vezes quando a gente vai publicar o paper, a gente tem que pedir autorização para a indústria quando a indústria está financiando. Então, pesquisas que a gente tem com o Leopoldo, Embraer, Embraco, Petrobras, que são as que realmente desenvolvem P&D e que geram esses sinais, a publicação ela fica condicionada à autorização. Então, aquilo que é o sinal fraco, dificilmente ele vai surgir num paper. Ele vai estar mascarado lá dentro, muito mascarado, e aí vira um segredo industrial. Então, não vou dizer que você explorar, mas é muito legal falar isso, porque você faz essa relação com base de patentes e há de considerar um pouco isso, porque isso tem uma relação direta com o sinal fraco, né? É a sugestão que eu te faço, e depois, se em algum momento você quiser voltar a posterior para alguma conversa sobre isso, eu estou à tua disposição, tá?
Perfeito.
Então, esse TRL, eu acho que é importante falar isso, falar desse ciclo de patente, porque você associa TRL com ciclo de patente, essa relação com indústria, P&D, inovação, tá? Essa é uma consideração. E outro elemento que você fala muito no seu trabalho, Letícia, que é a questão de planejamento estratégico. Eu não sei se chega no nível de planejamento estratégico, sabe, Letícia? Porque, por exemplo, um planejamento estratégico, o TRL já vai ter que estar maior e o sinal já vai estar mais forte de intensidade. Ele chega, sim, para o time de P&D e para o time de inovação. Então, por exemplo, dentro da organização que eu trabalho hoje, o sinal fraco ele não chegaria no planejamento estratégico.
Entendi.
Ele vai ficar no nível de P&D e de projeto, que é o nível que eu estou. Então, eu estou monitorando sinais fracos no meu nível. E aí eu vou monitorando pesquisas e projetos como esse teu, que tem total interesse nele, e o professor Alexandre Gonçalves é um parceiro nisso, a gente vem estudando como trazer isso para dentro da indústria, e a gente já fez várias reuniões, é um trabalho super interessante, super importante para a área de negócio que eu trabalho, mas isso não vai chegar no planejamento estratégico. Ele só vai chegar no planejamento estratégico quando tiver com o TRL alto e quando tiver com sinal com maior intensidade, porque aí diminuiu o risco. Então, o sinal fraco está muito associado ao risco, que tem tudo a ver com o TRL. Então, o sinal fraco ele vai ficar no nível de time de inovação e time de projeto. Aí ele vai estar entrando. e nem em planejamento estratégico de tecnologia. Então, se eu pudesse te ajudar no sentido de tornar esse teu trabalho mais conectado com esse ambiente, eu não falaria de planejamento estratégico, e sim de times de P&D e de times de inovação, ok? E justamente correlacionando TRL, intensidade de sinal e risco.
A questão do planejamento estratégico, de fato, no texto eu peguei que ficou oscilando ali em relação ao planejamento estratégico tecnológico, porque, ao meu ver, né, essa questão do ensino, eu fui descobrir ela quando eu fui pesquisando esse contexto, né, e esse contexto foi me apontando que eles tinham essa demanda por antecipação da informação, né, mas não é necessariamente eles, né, é uma coisa um pouco mais nichada ali, né, de
a gente tem necessidade de antecipação de sinal, mas ele não vai entrar diretamente, ele vai entrar no planejamento quando tiver sinal de maior intensidade. Sim. Ele vai estar no time de P&D no momento e na fase que você está com sinal fraco. Então, se você puder fazer esse ajuste, vai potencializar muito o teu trabalho, tá bom?
E essa questão dessa oscilação, né, do planejamento estratégico ao planejamento tecnológico estratégico, eu fiquei um pouco na dúvida, porque se eu tenho um sinal fraco de tecnologia, não necessariamente é só quem trabalha com tecnologia que pode se interessar por ele, né? O pessoal que está buscando economia pode se interessar, né? O pessoal que está buscando política pode se interessar.
Muito mais. Então, não seria o planejamento estratégico de tecnologia que estaria interessado.
Sim.
Seria o time de P&D e inovação.
Perfeito.
Tá? Agora, quando a gente parte para uma análise... Bom, eu já juro que eu estou acabando, porque esse tema é bem legal, tá? Se a gente está fazendo bastante pergunta diferente, é porque você conseguiu despertar emoções, sensações em todas as dimensões, isso é muito bacana. Fechando essa questão do planejamento, então, é essa tríade, essa relação. Intensidade de sinal, ela amplia, maturidade tecnológica e risco, ela fica no nível de P&D, à medida que o sinal vai ganhando proporção, o risco vai diminuindo, vai ganhando mais maturidade tecnológica, ela vai entrar lá na ponta no planejamento estratégico, mas tem todo o TRL para percorrer, tem todo o risco para diminuir e toda a intensidade de sinal para subir, ok? Essa é uma questão importante para o teu trabalho. Já falei para fechar, Letícia, assim, ó, acho que um desafio no texto a gente, porque você mostra a partir dos grafos, mas como você foi tão feliz em traduzir os grafos em texto fluido, é onde você segura, depois que você vê a intensidade dela, porque você vai numa análise quantitativa, é como é que você traz a estimativa de relevância, e você traz isso na página 113, você volta. Mas, ao ler o texto, eu tenho que adentrar muito nos cálculos para chegar nessa estimativa de relevância. Eu acho que o desafio é você traduzir essa estimativa, porque você faz a introdução do conceito de estimativa de relevância antes do gráfico. Então, eu fico lá na frente querendo entender isso, e só lá depois eu vou entender. Então, esse é um desafio, porque você joga a isca, é bem vendedora, você joga a isca, a gente vai morder, aí só lá na frente. E você não faz essa referência cruzada, no capítulo tal, lá na frente eu vou conectar. Então, eu fico no texto. Essa questão da conexão de texto é uma coisa, e outra coisa é traduz mais essa expectativa de relevância para o tomador de decisão. Eu coordeno um time de P&D, hoje tenho um orçamento, tenho um board. O que é essa estatística de relevância para o meu nível? Eu não quero descer no nível do gráfico, não quero descer no nível técnico de ver vetor. Eu quero tomar essa expectativa de relevância de uma forma mais traduzida. Eu acho que é isso. E eu acho que a tua conclusão tem muita coisa para dizer. A gente chega no final cansado, mas essa questão de TRL, maturidade, de ciclo tecnológico, tem muita coisa para você trazer de P&D. E no mundo exterior, lá fora, as patentes 12 meses do período de graça, eu acho que tem que considerar isso, diferente do Brasil, que são 18. Considerar que a lógica de P&D é diferente, eles têm uma orientação maior para proteger e para segredo industrial do que a vocação nossa e latina, porque eles têm essa associação de business muito mais forte. Então, talvez tenha mais dificuldade, daí que justifica e conecta com o que a professora Ana e o professor Israel trouxeram, que é a variedade de buscas. Porque quando a gente entra num nível de competitividade tecnológica, de negócios tecnológicos, isso é muito forte. As multas por uma publicação de paper indevida é altíssima. Eu fui secretário de inovação na UFSC aí, e os contratos que eu tinha que assinar, caso um docente vazasse um paper, uma palavra, um sinal fraco de uma tecnologia, elas são altíssimas, tanto em nível nacional quanto internacional. Então, acho que essa consideração tem que falar justamente para conectar com o que o professor Israel trouxe, a professora Ana trouxe, que é buscar em outras frentes e a dificuldade, muitas vezes, de identificar um sinal fraco de trazer. Tá bom?
Perfeito.
Eu queria te agradecer pelo trabalho que você fez, foi muito legal, muito legal. Parabenizar tanto o teu orientador, professor Alexandre, quanto os demais orientadores, e agradecer mais uma vez a oportunidade de estar aqui. Professor Alexandre Gonçalves, espero ter colaborado.
So Alexandre, Professor Alexandre, thank you again for your participation. Thank you for your comments and considerations. For sure, we will incorporate them into a final document. And again, thank you. Now I call Professor Gertrudes. Let me ask for your comments and considerations. Professor Gertrudes. Okay.
Olá, good morning.
Good morning. Feel free to make your comments in Portuguese if you prefer. So, go on.
Obrigada, inicialmente, né, pelo convite do professor Alexandre, dos demais orientadores, né, da Letícia. Parabéns pelo trabalho. Toda a equipe aí, acho que é um trabalho de equipe, né, Letícia? Embora o documento final é seu, né, é sua escrita, então eu parabenizo também pela tua apresentação, muito didática, muito calma, muito segura, mostrando que você tem domínio do que está se falando, do que tu fizeste, pelo tema também, pela tua didática de escrita, né, às vezes as pessoas dessa área mais hard, né, tem mais dificuldade de se expressar, você se expressa muito bem, se detalha bastante, às vezes até demais, né? Porque você quer explicar com os mínimos detalhes, tá? Então, depois eu vou publicar, às vezes dificulta um pouquinho, né? Porque a gente tem que economizar um pouco nas palavras na hora de colocar isso no paper, né? Mas parabéns pelo teu trabalho até aqui, pela evolução da qualificação para esse momento, né? E por trabalhar num tema que tem uma aplicação muito rica também, né? Muito importante e relevante. Então, eu acho que não tem muito mais o que falar, acho que foi bastante questionado, foi colocado várias coisas pelos diversos profissionais aí que têm um domínio maior até dessa questão da parte tecnológica, né? O professor Alexandre me antecedeu na parte mais da aplicação. Mas eu teria duas colocações para você, assim, ó. Que no começo do objetivo você fala muito de tecnologias, e lá no final você resume todas as tecnologias por tecnologias quantitativas, ferramentas quantitativas, né? Métodos quantitativos você adota isso no final. Do método para o final, você resume todas as ferramentas, métodos que você usou em métodos quantitativos. Eu acho que isso perde um pouquinho, né? Eu acho que tu trabalhou com muita coisa, várias ferramentas. Aí acho que, como professora, acho que quer dizer a professora Ana, né? Deixa mais claro, mantenha as técnicas que você colocou na conclusão, né? E não reduz para métodos quantitativos só, tá? Eu acho que isso vai, assim, ficou muito simplificado, métodos quantitativos, tá? Tem uma robustez, tem muitas técnicas que você usou, então traz isso para ficar mais evidente, ficando alinhado com o teu objetivo e com o teu, inclusive com o teu objetivo geral e o teu próprio título, tá? Eu acho que eu senti um pouquinho de falta lá, que sempre foi demais, tá? Então, esse é um ponto, e o outro que eu fiquei perguntando, ok, né? Eu acredito que hoje nós estamos num cenário muito acelerado, né? Então, trazer essas pesquisas antecipatórias, identificar esses sinais fracos, é uma questão estratégica importante. E eu fiquei pensando qual seria o impacto disso, né? O fato de tu estar antecipando uma tecnologia que está surgindo, isso vai acelerar ainda mais a transformação que nós vivemos hoje? Essa é uma pergunta que eu fiquei fazendo, né? Qual é o impacto disso, né? Como é que vai ficar a questão, talvez, até da propriedade intelectual, disso aí? Então, acho que são questões para reflexão a partir desse desenvolvimento, né? O impacto dela. O impacto de você identificar os sinais fracos com maior antecedência, né? Antes de já estar lá nas patentes. Qual é o impacto disso, tanto para os desenvolvimentos da tecnologia, quanto para as organizações, né? Então, eu deixo a pergunta para você, para os próximos trabalhos, para refletir sobre isso, né? Quanto isso impactaria, né? Na aceleração, na propriedade intelectual, né? Ou talvez alguma coisa em relação à aplicação de blockchain nesse processo. Estou fazendo conjecturas aqui, vamos pensar assim, tá? Eu acho que quando o professor Alexandre fala das TRL, né, eu acho que você antecipa isso, você traz os sinais fracos, né? Identifica eles previamente. Então, esse mude o rumo de alguma coisa, né? Então, é uma ação mais reflexiva, num pensar sistêmico, né? Qual o impacto disso? Mas eu acho assim, não teria muito que contribuir, acho que todos os demais já colocaram vários pontos aí. Eu acho que o que eu pergunto é o que eu perguntaria, Letícia, e agora? Dependendo da tese, a doutora Letícia vai fazer o quê? Quais são os próximos passos? Você vai continuar com isso? Você vai, né? Qual o teu próximo passo em relação a essa pesquisa? Poderia falar um pouquinho sobre isso?
Obrigada, professora Gertrudes, pelas considerações. Primeiro, para dizer que essa questão de qual é o impacto, né, dessa antecipação é realmente um questionamento que fica enquanto a gente vai estudando esse tema, e que eu tentei abordar, assim, pincelar realmente bem de levinho ali na etapa, na seção, no capítulo 1, onde eu menciono as contribuições, né, que teriam, por exemplo, impactos na formulação de políticas, né, públicas, tecnológicas, quando você fica sabendo com antecedência. Um caso interessante seria, né, saber com antecedência, discutir com antecedência as implicações do chat GPT, né, então, para você criar políticas e saber como você lidaria com isso, ou até você não deixar cair no esquecimento uma tecnologia que seria interessante, né, trazer atenção e investimento para isso, né, para que isso pudesse chegar ao mercado sem muito defasamento. Então, ali eu tentei abordar assim um pouquinho, mas realmente, com certeza, tem uma gama enorme aí de implicações. E próximos passos? Bom, essa é uma questão, uma pergunta difícil, que eu confesso que eu evitei um pouco refletir sobre ela, fiquei focada, falei, não, um passo de cada vez, vamos pensar na defesa primeiro, depois pensar no que vem depois. Mas com certeza considerei um pós-doutorado, possivelmente no exterior, né, que é um desejo que eu sempre tive de ter essa experiência internacional, que foi impossibilitada por conta da pandemia, mas ainda assim, com a ajuda do professor Israel, do professor Pepe, consegui fazer acontecer lá em Valência, e foi fantástico. Ter a oportunidade de ter conversado com eles, que são pesquisadores também desse tema, né, de sinais fracos, que não é muito comum de encontrar, foi enriquecedor, assim, de um tanto que não dá para mensurar. E, ao mesmo tempo, eu vejo como o professor Alexandre Ramos, que está aqui, que foi uma sugestão do professor Alexandre, que assim que ele mencionou, eu falei, eu quero ele na banca, assim, porque eu queria realmente essa perspectiva de mercado, assim, né, de ter essa outra visão, que a gente fica tão dentro da academia, só conversando em possibilidade de pesquisas, e muitas vezes uma coisa que poderia chegar no mercado não chega por falta de alguém ali para apontar, né, o caminho. Então, a resposta é bem não sei, assim, eu gosto de pesquisar, adoro pesquisar, mas eu acho que seria também muito interessante dar um gás a mais nesse projeto para fazer ele chegar no mercado. Eu acho que, para mim, pesa até um certo ponto de responsabilidade social, né, de ter passado tanto tempo dentro da instituição fazendo essa pesquisa e não contribuir, não disponibilizar isso, né, para os nossos gestores.
Isso que é uma coisa importante, né, Letícia? Você publicou um artigo, né, Mas é meio que praxe aqui no EGC, muitas vezes, depois que você defende, você tá livre, né? E acaba que muitas vezes os resultados excelentes ficam nesse documento que é entregue na biblioteca, né? E o mundo não vê. Então, eu acho que pelo menos a publicação dos artigos dos principais resultados seus tem um grande potencial de publicação, né? Em revistas de alto impacto. Então, eu espero, Letícia, que você passe essas publicações, também que você considere levar para o mercado, também acho que é mais uma contribuição ainda, né? Porque isso leva não só o teu nome, o nome do professor Alexandre, mas o nome do EGC, mostrando a contribuição aos nossos trabalhos para a sociedade. Né? Mas parabéns, Letícia, parabéns, professor Alexandre, mais orientadores, né? Pelo trabalho, pelo resultado, né? Pelo excelente resultado, né? E com certeza temos aqui mais uma doutora, né, de excelência aqui no EGC. Parabéns, Letícia, sucesso nas próximas escolhas, então, nas próximas decisões. Obrigada, professor Alexandre, também.
Thank you, Professor Gertrudes. Thank you for your comments and considerations. For sure, we will incorporate them in the file into the final document. And proceeding, we will now ask for Professor Denilson. Please, Professor Denilson, let me ask for your comments and considerations. So feel free to talk in Portuguese or English. I know the answer, but go on. Thank you so much.
I may go for Porto English, maybe. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for our colleagues in Spain. It's such a nice time to be together here, discussing this very nice work. I'm very happy on joining this committee. I also learned a lot reading your document, Leticia. So I guess my role here is to congratulate you and your supervisors, basically. Most of the things that I thought on bringing to this discussion were mentioned before by our colleagues. So I may add some very specific points, mostly about the document.
Okay.
And I guess I'm going to be very, very fast on my discussion here with you. So first of all, your model is such bold model. It's very well structured. In your presentation, in not only in your presentation today, but in the documents, is very precise, it's very clear. It's very easy to understand how you structure and why you structured the model in such a way. So I cannot add anything about the description of the model. In fact, I'm very happy on reading about the model, and I've taught in many different areas of application of your model. Of course, you're not only working on weak signals, I know, and the way that you structured the model, of course, was towards on working this weak signals way. But I guess we may apply the model in very different scenarios. So the model is perfect. I cannot contribute in anything on that. I may add some very specific point, as I mentioned. First of all, in your abstract is quite important because you're trying to get the attention of the readers. So you may review the last three phrases when you describe your results.
Okay.
It seems a little bit fragmented, the discussion there. So it's just a way of reading again, and you may find a way on improving that.
Okay.
About the chapter 1, you brought a very nice contextualization, but I felt that you may bring some discussion about the importance of working on non-structured data sources.
Okay.
Because your model goes on that direction. So you may introduce something about that, on the role of the non-structured data source, in which you may find some clues about what's going to happen in the near future. And also, I guess you should explore that too in your research question.
Okay.
Because your research questions is well structured, but I guess I can bring anything towards that question. You know, I can bring different approaches, or
broad.
If you include maybe non-structured data sources on your research question, I guess it goes
would be better.
more, closer to your model and so on. So
perfect.
Just my impression. Again, in the contributions, you have introduced how this model could be explored and so on, how important is your work. But I felt that you could bring some gaps of the current models.
Okay.
You just mentioned that you couldn't find a model that works towards weak signals, but you found some, and also you had a nice discussion in your chapter 2, I guess, about how the KDT models are applied in strong signals. So you may bring some clues about how your work is going to fulfill a gap that is there in chapter 2, I guess. But you should bring a spoiler about that here, because we're
in the contributions.
We're discussing the relevance and also why I decide to go on that direction with my thesis. So I guess it's nice to introduce that in this first chapter. Okay. Your chapter 2 is very well structured. It's such easy to understand your arguments and so on. But I was trying to guess why you picked BERT and burst in your work. You should bring some details about that. Why? Of course, you explain how BERT works. It's easy to understand, but I guess it will be better to bring some clues, and also to connect this explanation with your model. It's a kind of spoiler, but I guess this is going to make the reading more clear, and the reader may understand better why I'm reading about BERT, why I'm reading about burst. You can give some. You could bring some connections to your model during the chapter 2, I guess.
Yeah.
About the chapter 3, DSR, of course, it was a nice choice, a nice decision for your work, and also the description on how you developed the work according to the DSR phase is very clear, is very fluid. I liked the discussion there. Also, how you brought some support for your evaluation strategy. You brought this Havner work support. So it's very, very well detailed. So I like very much about this chapter 3 too. Going to the chapter 4. It was very nice reading about this connection on semiotics in your work. You brought a very strong support to your model, in my way of thinking, when you went to the semiotic area. So it was very nice. But you may consider moving part of this chapter, specifically the section 4.1, in which you brought some concepts. I guess chapter 2 is the point in which you should bring some new concepts to your work. So it's okay. it's also a nice way to the reader to connect how you develop the model. But I was feeling, oh, this should be in this chapter 2 maybe. But it's just a way of trying to contribute to your work, Leticia. Okay. And chapter 5, Alexandre Moraes brought some very nice subject or point to the discussion, you know. And I guess you should emphasize in chapter 5 that despite you are working on documents regarding patents and so on, your model could be applied in any kind of non-structured data sources. But in the evaluation strategy, we consider to extract, you know, data or documents from patents and so on. And again, you should come back to this discussion in your final chapter, describing maybe describing different kind of data sources that could be explored, you know, and again, and applying your model and testing it on these different kind of data sources and so on. And that could be a nice way on finishing your work. So basically, that's what I try to emphasize in my talk. Most of the things were mentioned before. So thank you very much for the invitation, Leticia, Alexandre, and I'm here to support you in anything that you needed. Okay.
Thank you, Denilson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Denilson. Thank you for your comments, considerations. For sure, we will incorporate them in the final document, and go on. Let's move forward. Now I would invite Professor José Pepe. Let me ask you for your comments and considerations. So feel free for your comments, and thank you for being here. It's a nice pleasure. It's feel free, go on.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is for me to be part of the like a co-advisor. Enjoy 3 months that Leticia spent here in Valencia. No, so first of all, I want to say congratulations, Leticia, because you are able to summarize your hard work for many years in less than an hour. Very clear and very methodical. So this is not easy, and this is very important for the research. No, not only make a good research, also to transmit this knowledge. So congratulations for that. And the second one that I want to say, to emphasize, is that your time here, at least during these 3 months, and also we have in contact some month also, is that you make hard work. You make this with a methodological that is very important, and also with you are curious. So this is so good for the researchers, because I remember just say have you listened something about ChatGPT that it was started in this moment, and just the day after you arrive here with all the things that you find in ChatGPT, and then you compare with the results that you make with your algorithm. So this is good. There is a curiosity, no? Is the way that we can improve the research. And as some of the previous comments say about multidisciplinarity, I think it's very important. Your thesis is very mixed different disciplines, no? And I remember here in my desk, no, when we have the meetings, we started discussing about psychology with the Johari, and we finished talking about theory of graphs, like the top key density burst graphs. That is, they needs a very mathematical background in order to understand this. And also, this is very difficult that you say how to implement this mathematical background in an algorithm. No, we try it. No, we try it. We put in contact with some informatics from my group, but this is my research group. But this is not easy. Not only for the complexity of the computing, because it is, but more for because it's difficult. No, it's difficult to implement it. What you see in graphs implemented with an algorithm. No, I think we could work in this in the future because I think it's very, very interesting, but also is so complex. No. And do you remember also during these meetings that we talk about this point that is why patent?
Yes.
But why not? Be careful because people will ask you about why patent, why not this or the others. But it is research. This is research, and you have to make a decision, and you have to have arguments to defend your decision. No. Of course, we talk about many things. I think maybe it depends of the field, yeah? Because if the field is software or data, now it's in fashion, or all is in open software, open data. The things go quickly, no? And the patent, they have some delay, no? Because they have to approval, they have to do things, and so on. But of course, the database of the patent is something that you can reproduce anything. And this is also, I remember that I think there is some API that you can collect it, this data that is very important also in order to decide. And of course, but this is the big key. The question is why patents and why not the other? No, I want to emphasize also this very important. I think it was Professor Alexandre, I think so, that they connected the patent with the TRL, the technological readiness level. I think it's very important. Another thing that I remember, I also tell you that is I am very interested in when I was vice rector of entrepreneurship. Weak signals for me was very important in order to find, to look for what will be the future, for entrepreneurs, how we can use these algorithms or this technology to say our entrepreneurs, please work in this direction or make work in that. So it's very important in this maybe for the future to connect it this with the TRL. I think it's very very good suggestion. Yeah. And okay, I have many things to say, but I can. One thing that also appeared here in the discussion is paper. Do you remember that we talked about?
Yeah.
So it's very important because the thesis there is a document, but in order that they goes to every part of the world and the people could also make a reference of your work, you need to publish this in appropriate journals, And also, if it's possible for the first attempts, go to a journal of Q1 or something like that, So I think I don't know what you're planning for the next month, but I think one idea is transformate all this hard work, all this good memory, all this good presentation in more papers that you already have. So this is, I encourage to do that, and is a way to improve your curricula also. And just to finish, I want to say that for me it was an honor to be part like a co-advisor of this thesis. Also, it was an honor that you decide to come here to Valencia to our lab. And I just want to say that our lab, the doors are open if you want to come back. So congratulations again for all your work. And also it's very important how you defend it. You make an arguments of the questions. This is a signal, is a way that you work in all this part of the thesis strong. Yeah. So congratulations, you and Alexander, Leopoldo, that we meet just in the screening in some conferences, and also Jose Leomar that I think is there, and also Israel that you already know, and congratulations also to all the speakers, because they make very good suggestions. They're sure they can improve your work.
Thank you very much, Pepe. It's an honor to have you here for my defense.
Thank you, Professor Pep. And also, I would like to thank you, Professor Pep and Professor Israel, for giving Leticia the opportunity to stay for a research period in Valencia, during which, how could I say, she was able to carry out, to evolve a lot her research. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Finally, I would like to invite Professor José Leomar Todesco, Professor Tite, for your comments and considerations.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I would like just to say thank you. All the comments were very relevant, and I'm sure the suggestion will be improve the document and readers understand. Leticia have worked very hard and presented a relevant research that can be used for every organization that you wanted. So I always joke that the student Turing index, or índice de viração própria, Leticia seems quite high to me. So I also want to congratulate Professor Alexandre for his line of research and dedication to this advisor. So congratulations, Leticia. Congratulations, Alexandre. Thank you.
Thank you, Titi.
Thank you for everyone, every member of this quite exceptional jury, I could say. So now we have a time to carry out a final evaluation of the Leticia's thesis. So we how could I say?
Traveling.
But we will automatically be sent to another room to discuss the final evaluation of Leticia's thesis. So just stay here, and we send to another room to discuss the document.
Just one thing, I have to switch off because I don't lunch before before now I have to go because everything was closed now too.
I see.
So please send me an email or WhatsApp with the results. That I hope they will be excellent. Yeah.
Thank you very much again, Pepe.
Thank you very much, Professor Pepe. Bye. Alexandre, Pinho, se puder nos transmitir para outra sala. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Sala criada, é só aceitar. Aí agora o pessoal vai para a reunião. Letícia, tu aguarda um pouquinho conectada, se quiser pode fechar a câmera, e daqui a pouco, quando eles acabarem lá, vem automático para cá de volta.
Perfeito, obrigada.
Pinho, como é que eu vou para lá? Onde é que foi o convite?
Não apareceu um convite para ti? Aí na tela? Deixa eu verificar aqui. Tô vendo aqui como que eu te coloco, Alexandre. Já te coloco ali.
Tá bom, tranquilo. Letícia, gostei muito, tá? Achei muito legal. A gente volta a conversar depois.
Perfeito.
Convidado. Eu confundi com o meu nome e aí não botei. Eu também sou Alexandre.
Muitos Alexandres nessa banca.
E aí eu não ia me pôr na sala. E acabei não pondo o professor, desculpa.
Okay, everyone, just Professor Gertrudes. Okay. Just a minute. The print screen. Forgot to take some print screen, so I guess that is not so important. But we have the the recording of the session, so it's all okay. Again, thank you everyone for comments, for your contributions. Leticia, this committee, jury, this board, consider your thesis approved. So congratulations, congratulations. Now you have 60 days to improve your document and deliver the final version to the library, the university library. So congratulations. It was a really nice time during this period as your supervisor. I'm very this time was challenging. It was a challenging time. We had some challenges during all the thesis, but I guess you made your best, and the result is this day. This day was. Sorry, I'm very emotional. It's a very emotional time. But congratulations for your work, for your dedication, and I guess that you can carry on with your research. You have a tremendous, immense potential to evolve your work and also evolve your research capabilities. So again, thanks so much for the opportunity to be your advisor. That's it.
Thank you.
Everyone, any comments, any additional comments, feel free.
Parabéns, Leticia, Alexandre. Congratulations also to your co-supervisors. Well done.
Obrigada.
Parabéns.
Yes, the same here. Sorry, Gertrudes, you want to go on?
Okay, thank you so much. So
no, I just wanted to say, that for me, it was very special to host Leticia in Valencia and to find a person in a similar research, or in the same research, or at least, it's what I said before, talking the same language, speaking the same language, was amazing, that, and also the way that she has been researching, it was totally different, it was original, it was new. So I hope that you continue with this topic, with this research, and please count on me, for anything, because it's a beautiful topic with lots of applications. And I'm sure that it would help a lot of people to continue, to find new opportunities. So it's a great topic, and it's a great research. So congratulations, Leticia, and also to your advisors and co-advisors. Good job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Zell, for your comments, your words. So that's it.
Parabéns, Letícia. Parabéns, Alexandre. Abraço.
Obrigado.
Bom dia a todos. Parabéns, obrigado pelo convite mais uma vez. Sucesso.
Muito
Letícia.
obrigada.
I will ask you some claps. Thank you again.
Esquece de publicar.
Yes.
O desejo existe, né? A dificuldade só writing papers is not easy.
Esse sinal já está forte.
That's it. Thanks so much. So see you again, hopefully in an next opportunity.
See you soon.